Have you ever stopped to think about what it actually takes to create the medicines we depend on every day? It's this incredibly complex world, built on years of intense education and super specialized careers. So today, let's pull back the curtain and follow the journey of a pharmaceutical scientist, all the way from their first chemistry class to the high-stakes world of drug development.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute basics, the academic foundations. Then we'll peek inside an advanced curriculum to see what they're actually learning. After that, we'll get into the critical science of drug safety, meet the professionals who are basically guarding our health, and wrap it all up with the ethical code that holds this entire industry together.
So, where does a journey this huge even begin? Well, it's probably not in the fancy, high-tech labs you might be picturing. Nope, it all starts way earlier, with the fundamental building blocks of science, the stuff that lays the groundwork for every single discovery that comes later.
Before you can even think about getting into an advanced program, you have got to have a rock-solid foundation. I'm talking about core high school subjects like chemistry, biology, and physics. These aren't just boxes to tick on an application. They are, quite literally, the language of the entire pharmaceutical world.
And it's not all about the textbooks. The path to becoming a licensed professional, say a pharmacist, is really supported by a whole ecosystem of resources. You've got industry networking to connect students with future employers, and these dedicated study groups, which are absolutely crucial for tackling the tough accreditation exams you need to pass.
All right, so once that foundation is set, students get to dive into the world of advanced pharmaceutical education. And this is where general science starts to transform into the highly specialized expertise needed to actually design and create medicine.
In a master's or a PhD program, you go deep. Students are immersed in the core disciplines that are the absolute backbone of modern drug discovery. This is really where the funnel narrows, from broad science into some seriously rigorous training.
Okay, this slide gives us a little glimpse into just how molecular this all gets. Terms like molecular docking or pharmacophore mapping, that's all about using powerful computer simulations to see how a drug molecule will fit into a target in your body, kind of like a key fitting into a lock. And in silico ADME studies, that's a fancy way of saying they use computer models to predict how your body will absorb and get rid of the drug. We're talking about building medicine atom by atom before it ever even gets to a physical lab. Now, what's so important to remember is that it's not just about what a drug is, but what it does inside a living, breathing system. And that brings us to a huge concept, pharmacokinetics. Basically, it answers the question, once you take a medicine, what does your body do to it? How does it get absorbed? Where does it go? How is it broken down? And how does it finally leave? And this isn't just theoretical stuff, right? This kind of advanced training happens at top-tier institutions all over the globe. A perfect example is the National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, or NIPR, in Kolkata, which is actually recognized as an institute of national importance in India for its specialized postgraduate and doctoral programs. All of this incredibly advanced knowledge, it's all building towards one of the most critical parts of this entire field, making absolutely sure that a new medicine is not just effective, but above all else, that it's safe. So the first pillar here is pharmacology. The easiest way to think about it is as the science of a drug's desired effect. It's all about studying exactly how a drug interacts with our body to create a positive therapeutic response. So in short, pharmacology asks the big question, does this drug actually do what we designed it to do? Now, the other side of that coin is regulatory toxicology. This is the science of a drug's undesired effects. It's about meticulously, painstakingly testing for any potential harm and making sure all that research follows the super strict guidelines set by global bodies like the FDA in the US or the International Council for Harmonization. So all of this incredible academic knowledge is then put into practice by professionals in some really key roles. These are the people who are, for all intents and purposes, the guardians of public health working inside the pharmaceutical industry. First up, you have quality assurance, or QA. Think of them as the internal watchdogs. A QA professional's entire job is to create and maintain systems that ensure every single step, from the earliest research to the final manufacturing, meets unbelievably high standards of quality. And next to them is regulatory affairs, or RA. Now, if QA folks are the internal watchdogs, RA specialists are the essential bridge to the outside world, and specifically to government agencies. These are the experts in the incredibly complex web of laws and regulations that govern medicine. And their role is just so multifaceted. A regulatory affairs specialist spends their day reading and interpreting complex laws, communicating back and forth with agencies like the FDA, advising their own company on the best strategy, and compiling these massive, detailed documents needed to get a new drug approved.
So we have this rigorous education, and we have these critical professional roles. But holding it all up, underpinning everything, is something even more fundamental. A deep, deep commitment to integrity. Because let's be honest, in a field where lives are literally on the line, public trust is everything.
And this brings up a really critical question. When the results of someone's work could potentially affect millions of lives, what is it that ensures the integrity of their research and their education from the very beginning, from day one?
One of the modern threats to this integrity is something called contract cheating. This is basically when a student outsources their work, they pay someone else to do an assignment, and then they submit it as their own. And this isn't just, breaking the rules, it's a direct assault on the learning process itself.
And this isn't some small campus problem. It's a serious field of academic study, as this research paper shows. Educators and institutions are working really hard to fight this threat because they know that a degree has to mean something. It has to genuinely represent expertise, especially in a field like this one.
And that leaves us with a final, really crucial thought. The whole structure of pharmaceutical science relies on this chain of trust. It starts in the classroom, and it goes all the way to your local pharmacy. So if that very first foundational link, academic honesty, is broken, the entire system is put at risk. It's a question that reminds us why integrity isn't just some nice idea. It's an absolute public health necessity.